Mid-air collisions. Don't happen very often. Happened today at our field. Two of my buddies flying some planes. One was a Flightline Bearcat, and then the other one's this. The Bearcat's fine. This one, not so much. So, a lot of broken parts and pieces, and we're going to rebuild this. Put it all back together the best we can, and I'll take you along the ride. As far as going through, just how I'm going to go through and repair everything, fix it, get it to looking as new as we can. Might have to buy a couple parts. We lost one of the wheels. We couldn't find it. So we'll see how it goes. Stick around. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to take the wing off just so I can glue it back together a little bit better. Have it flat and kind of in a better position. And not sure how these are plugged in, but okay, we got these little cables here. And got those sorted out. I'm going to mark that. I'm not sure if, just so when I put it back together, probably doesn't matter, but you never know. So, got that disconnected. That over here. And all we're going to do, because all the parts, there is some structure here, so I'm a little worried about that. And I don't know if that broke. It doesn't look like that actually broke, but maybe something, yeah, maybe something snapped out. So it did break internally. We might, what I'll probably do is glue this together and then take a little smaller than this strip of carbon fiber and just put it across there to give it a little bit more strength. So if that, just build up. But as you can see, if we push these pieces together, the seam doesn't look very noticeable. It looks pretty good. Might change the dihedral of the wing just a little bit. We'll have to be careful because there is some dihedral in the wing, so it's not flat. So as I was pushing it down flat here, you can't do that. So we got to make sure that we get that dihedral correctly, or else the plane ain't going to fly right. So make sure we'll do that, and we'll just glue one part at a time. A couple of these pieces, we might put some pins in there. You've seen my work where I just take some of those straight pins and use those as clamping devices to kind of hold things together. I'm going to use foamtac. Now, even though this feels like EPO, I'm not going to use E6000. I'm going to use, I'll need more than this, but we're going to use foamtac on it just because I just like using foamtac. It seems to work great. But that's the story with the wing, story with the fuselage. This piece right here is really the only part that broke off. So we'll get that back into place. Only problem is if it crunched and it basically might change the thrust angle. We'll have to play with that. It just, sometimes that happens. Because when things get crunched, they get a little distorted. But that looks like it fits together good. So I do a lot of dry fitting. Here's some parts to the wings that need to go back. Dry fit those. Those look good. So first thing I'm going to do, though, is get this wing, this part of the wing put together and figure out how to make sure I can get the right dihedral as the glue is drying. Here's the plan. So you notice there's a couple pins in there. What we're going to do, get this out of the way for now. I'm going to put a fair amount of foamtac on both sides and then get these put together, positioned so they look great. And then I'm using these pins. These ones are kind of in a hard point, so they shouldn't pull out. And I'm going to put the pins, not a lot of stress with these rubber bands, just a little bit. And same thing down here, which will suck this together. The other thing I did was I have two perfectly placed wheels that just happen to be about the right height of where we need to be, so the dihedral is about right. So, that's what we're going to get off here a second to get my little handy dandy brush. So we're going to put on, we can, boy, this foamtac might be a little on the older side. Might have to crack open a new bottle here. Or There we go. So, and you know I like to get a brush and really get all the pieces, get a nice even coat. Looks like good coverage, happy. Now I'm gonna stick it together, squeeze it together good, pull apart just a hair, let it sit for a second before I push it back together. Final, make sure everything goes together good, make sure it looks good on the top and the bottom. I don't want a bunch of squeeze out either, it's unsightly. Put on these rubber bands, one there, and kind of be gentle with them because they might want to pull out of this foam. Alright, I got that, I'm pretty happy. A little bit more. Double check everything, right? You know, so you look at it, be a little critical about how it all looks. Okay, that's it. We're done with that. Since I have the glue out though, this guy got a little beat up. So we're gonna try to get him back together by doing the same thing. We're gonna shove some glue in there, use a couple pins to clamp everything together. It was a little damaged. So what we're going to do is take some pins and go through like these parts here so you can't see the holes on the outside because that looks bad. Got a little ooze out on that one. So I'm putting these pins in so you won't be able to really see the holes. So using them as a clamp. Hopefully I got some of that on camera. I don't know if I did or not, but we'll see. Alright, so that's back together. Obviously we got some more damage here. We might have to play with that a little bit. Like that set up as well. It's been a little while, so we're gonna take off the clamps, if you will. And here we have the wing. Pretty good. I am going to take a section of carbon fiber, maybe about yay big, and I'm going to run it right like that, maybe from there to there. Glue that in just to give it some additional strength. Having these little chunks of carbon fiber strips, awful handy for this kind of stuff. The hatch doesn't look too bad, glued back together. Alright, try to do a 3D print of the prop adapter, but this one doesn't quite fit, and I can't find on Thingiverse a new one of these. So if any of you know where the prop adapter might be for this, that'd be great. Otherwise, for $3.50, I'm just ordered a new one. His was damaged, so I put a little tape around it and filled it full of West Systems G-Flex epoxy. See if that'll work too. I don't know, just kind of playing around with different ways to fix stuff. So next step is the rest of the fuselage, getting this back together, and couple chunks that belong on the wing, which will get those squared away. That's it. I'm gonna definitely need, I believe that that is gonna need to go straight. So you can see it's kind of pitched up. I'm gonna kind of push it down. It might be a problem. Gonna kind of force it a little bit. Massage some of these pieces. That goes in like so, and not as good over on this side. We'll have to do some playing around here to get it to fit right. There's sometimes the dilemmas you have when you have a bunch of stuff blown apart in a crash. So, and let's get the rest of this wing. So we've got a part that fits in like so. I'm going to do the same process. Not going to be perfect, unfortunately. Just a lot of damage done to it. Pull it apart, wait a little bit. Jam it together. Couldn't tell, but I was doing a lot of bending to try to straighten it out. What ends up happening then is on these kind of things you got a lot of trimming to do, and the plane just doesn't fly perfect anymore. That piece here is wedged in pretty good. I'm not even gonna mess with that one. But this tip here, we will put some. So while some of these pieces are drying, let's do this. Got a piece of foam down here so I can press on this. Doesn't have to be exact, but what I'm trying to do, I have a serrated blade here, and I have a regular sharp blade here. What I'm going to do is center this up and just score that right there, 6 inches. Just put a little bit score line on there, and then I'm going to take this in that same line. Batteries are charging, as you can hear. Get ready to go fly tomorrow. And what that just did is kind of open this up. I want it to be deep enough, but not too deep. Don't want to go through. I'm just going to cut a piece a little shorter than the 6 inches. Lube it up with foamtac. Shove it in there and give it some rigidity. At my piece, I ran through a little bit of sandpaper to kind of rough it up. And now I'm going to wipe it off with a little bit of 70% alcohol, just to get all the stuff off of it, all the grease, anything that might be on it. And let that dry. Squeeze some on that. Maybe put a little on here. You don't want much because it's just going to ooze out. Strength after an issue. And I'm just gonna really push it down. So, one more thing that was broken. The elevator servo became dislodged in the crash. So, these things clamshell apart. They're held together with tape. So, I cut the tape very carefully, opened up just the one side, re-glued that servo back to where it belongs with foam tack, and then just use a little foam tack on that foam to put everything back together. You could also use Blenderm or Scotch tape, but that's a quick fix, not a big issue. Here we are. A little bit of a scar on it. Got the reinforcing right there. The nose, I mean, it's not perfect. You got some gaps. If you have to, we can, for a couple bucks, buy a new lid. Doesn't cost much if this one starts flying off. Magnets are holding it on pretty good. It's not too bad. Inside, everything looks good. The only thing I couldn't do, and I tried to print 2 of these prop adapters, but they really don't work. They work for the UMX timber, not for this. So this, I kind of mentioned before, I filled it full of epoxy, put some tape around it, filled it full of epoxy, and might be able to work it. And for less than $4, you could order this. And since I'm an elite member with Horizon Hobby, shipping is free. So there's where we're at. Everything's good, done, ready to roll, except the prop adapter. Oh, and you'll also notice I kind of figured this is the only wheel I had that was kind of fitted. So there we go. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you like the content, hit that like button. If you have a question, leave a comment. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.